Hey guys, Jeremy Baalke and Todd Reineking here. Just wanted to talk to you about the Bigtooth Straight-Wire Spinnerbait. We're on Lake of the Woods right now, and this has been a really valuable tool for us to have in the box. Probably don't throw it as much as we throw a bucktail, but there are certain situations where this bait is just a better choice and something that you should consider. And just wanted to talk about why we like it and what we think sets it apart from some other spinnerbaits that are out there. So I don't know, you wanna
Yeah, I mean, some of the unique characters, if you've never held one, it's going to be a solid hook in the back. It's not going to flop over. So when you cast it out and you thumb it to stop, it's always going to land this way. The other thing that I think is totally unique that bothered us for years before Jeremy kind of developed this is you can see the brown hooks, which you can get just a wicked sharp tip on versus, the white aluminum or some of the other white metals that it's just really hard to get a strong, sharp point on, and that's going to totally affect your hooking percentage. Spinner baits, as you know, show a lot of fish, but it's hard to hook them. This, I think, the hooking percentage and the way it was developed and thought out has changed that a great deal. It's not perfect, obviously, but the hooking percentage is way greater than any other spinnerbait I've ever used.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and obviously I'm a little biased, and I'll be the first one to say too. I mean, if we're fishing water, if we're fishing rocks or water that's clean, a bucktail, I'm gonna have a bucktail on before I'm gonna have this bait on. But there are circumstances where you might be fishing in heavy weeds or wood, and a bucktail just isn't your most efficient choice. That's where this bait shines, where you can get it through, and it's not always going to come through 100% clean. I think that's anybody that's hoping for that out of any spinnerbait, it's just not going to happen. But it's going to have a lot fewer weeds than if you were throwing a bucktail, and fish will still bite it even if there's a few weeds hanging off the back. But like Todd mentioned, just a couple things for me that I really like about this bait is the hooks and how they're wired together. And I don't know how well you can see this, but there's actually a wire coming out of the head of the bait, and that wire is connected to the back hook, so it makes it more rigid, and it keeps it in line, which makes the bait track really well. But what it also does is when a fish grabs, a lot of times what tends to happen with a spinnerbait, unless they grab it straight from behind, is they'll actually push the trailer hook out of the way if this trailer hook is dangling free. And with this bait, that can't happen. So even a fish that grabs from the side, when you set the hook, you're still gonna have a really good opportunity to catch that fish. So I just think that's one of the attributes for me that really sets it apart. And finally, while we're talking about that, when you get this bait, if you decide to go with this bait, a really good tip is to try and offset the hooks a little bit. And you can do this with your pliers, where you just take your pliers and you bend the top hook to one way and you bend the back hook the other. So you're gonna have a situation where your hooks sit a little offset like that, and that can make a really big difference for catching fish. And I don't know if there's anything else that you want to comment on, but those are some of the reasons that I like the straight wire.
Yeah, I mean, today this is a post frontal day, and a lot of the saddles, and cabbage that we were fishing is actually pushed down. So to get this down and just bouncing over the top of it, when that strike window is a little smaller for fish, I think can be, we've shown that to be really effective in the last day. So it's like Jeremy said, it's just a really nice additional tool, to have in your box.